Hey Geometry Kids, it's Mr. Duffield here with a new lesson for you guys. We're going to be starting Unit 9, which is all about circles. So let's take a look at the vocabulary. There are a lot of important terms in this unit that we want to be familiar with as we prepare for the test. So let's take a look at our vocabulary sheet. So first important term we got to look at is circle. Obviously a circle is the main thing we're looking at. You can see a picture of a circle right here. Our definition is that it's a shape that has no sides. As you can see, it has no sides because it's all curves. And it consists of points equidistant from the central point. So if we have a central point, every point on the circle is an equal distance away from the center. That's what makes it a circle. And also something to remember is that it has 360 degrees. So we've been learning about all sorts of different types of angles so far this year. And a circle is comprised of 360 degrees all the way around. So if you put two 180 degree angles together, you'll get 360 degrees. Let's continue on with our notes and look at some parts of a circle. First thing we'll look at is the radius. So the radius, as you can see in this picture, is this segment that goes from the center all the way out straight to the outer part of the circle. And that's called the radius. So let's write that definition down. A segment that connects the center of a circle to a point on the circle. Continuing on, we'll look at a diameter. In this diameter figure, you can see the diameter is a segment that goes from a point on the circle to the center, or through the center, to a point on the opposite side. So essentially it's two radiuses or radii connected together, one going in opposite, two going in opposite directions. That's what creates a diameter. And that cuts the circle in half. So let's formulate our definition of a diameter. Diameter connects 2 points on a circle and passes through the center of that circle. Sorry, just fixing those typos there. Looking at the next word, we're looking at a chord. So if you look at our picture here, a chord goes from one point on a circle and goes and connects another point on the circle. It can go through the center, but obviously if it goes through the center, that creates what we call a diameter. So a diameter is a very specific type of chord, but a chord just connects any 2 points on a circle. So let's write that down as our definition. And there you go. Our definitions have come up, so write those down. And then we'll move along to the next term, which is a secant. Secant is essentially the same thing as a chord, as you can see, connects 2 points, but instead of stopping at the 2 points on the circle, instead of being a segment, really it's a line. So as you can see, it continues on forever in opposite directions. So that's a big difference, is that it's just a line versus a chord is a segment. So it has actual end points. Secants don't end. So there you go, a line that connects any 2 points on a circle. Let's continue on. Look at a few more important terms. So the next one we'll look at is a tangent. And once again, you can see a tangent is a line because it continues on in a continuous direction or opposite directions. And a tangent is very specific. So it's different than a secant because a secant, as you recall, hits the circle at 2 points. A tangent only intersects the circle at one specific point. So that's the difference between a secant and a tangent. So let's write that definition. And there it is, a line that touches the circle at exactly 1 point. If we continue on, we look at a point of tangency. So that exact point where the tangent touches the circle has a specific name, and we call that the point of tangency. So here is an interesting note. The radius that extends to the point of tangency. So if we made a radius from the center to that point of tangency, it would be exactly perpendicular to that tangent, just like it says. Remember, perpendicular, the symbol for perpendicular is an upside down T, and perpendicular means it makes a 90-degree angle. So this would be a 90-degree angle here, and over on this side as well when we have that radius in comparison to that tangent. This is a cool thing to know, and that will come in handy later in this unit to know that. And we'll move right along to looking at angles and arcs. So the essential one we want to know is a central angle, and it's called a central angle because it originates from the center. So we here in this picture you see angle CAT. Remember, the vertex of that angle needs to be the middle letter, and the vertex is the center in this case, which is A. So this is circle CAT. So central angle is created by two radiuses, as you can see, and that creates an angle right here. Something that we'll learn later in this unit about central angles is that the arc, which is this distance out here, is congruent to the angle, the central angle. Now, a quick note to also know is that we could also say that there's another angle here, angle CAT, and that is created, which goes in this direction, counterclockwise. So there are actually two angles created by these radii. So it's very important to pay attention to the names of them when we're looking at them, and usually they'll give you some direction or some additional information to help you figure out which one they're talking about. So an arc is, well, it's different than the central angle where this is the angle. The angle is here, but the arc is the distance from the one point to the other point. So there's the definition. It's the measure of one point on a circle to another point on that same circle, and that creates an arc. So again, we have arc CT, or we could also have another arc that goes in the other direction, also named CT, or TC for that matter. So there's very specific types of arcs. There's a minor arc, as you can see in this picture here, minor arc BA, and it's called a minor because it's less than 180 degrees, and that's what makes it a minor arc. So let's write that down. Here we go, arc that measures less than 180 degrees. And so a semicircle is an arc that measures exactly 180 degrees. So in this picture you can see we have the arc that goes from point D all the way around to point E, and you can see the radii that make this central angle are essentially a diameter. And so we know that half of a circle is 180 degrees. So that makes this a semicircle. One thing that I'm going to add to the definition is that it's an arc or a central angle that measures exactly 180 degrees. Let's take a look at the next one. So we started with a minor arc, we went to semicircles, so that leads us to a major arc. And a major arc, and in this picture you can see, is from F to G. And this arc, or this angle, measures greater than 180 degrees. And that's what makes it a major arc. So there's the definition. So here's a quick question for you. Think about this. Can you have an arc that's greater than 360 degrees? The answer, of course, is no, because a circle only has 360 degrees. So it's impossible to have an arc greater than 360 degrees. So let's get back to the notes, finish that up. The last word we'll look at is an ascribed angle. So in this picture here we have a circle and we have an angle, angle A, B, C, with B being the vertex, as you can see. And again, remember that we name this angle A, B, C with the middle letter always being the vertex. So an ascribed angle is an angle inside of a circle and is formed by 3 points on that circle, and that creates an ascribed angle. And again, in this unit we'll learn some very specific properties and characteristics of these angles and the relationship with the arc. So let's write down the definition of an ascribed angle. So the definition: an angle whose vertex is on the circle and whose sides are created by chords in the circle. So we have this side BA is a chord, and this side BC is also a chord. And remember, a chord is a segment that connects any 2 points on a circle. Alright guys, so that completes our vocabulary for this unit. Hopefully you filled everything out. Make sure you study this in preparation for doing any classwork, and of course the unit test, so that you're familiar with all the vocabulary terms. Very important words to know, so you're familiar with all of them. So good luck on the rest of this unit. We'll see you next time.